They laughed at her. They mocked her accent. Some even asked if she was just a mistake on air. But what no one knew was that this Filipino anchor would soon become the most trusted voice on American television, and the moment everything flipped started with one viral comment. This is the story of how they tried to humiliate her on CNN and ended up making her a legend. She didn't grow up dreaming of TV lights. She never imagined herself sitting behind a news desk or speaking to millions of viewers every night. In fact, when she was young, she once told her mother she didn't even like taking school pictures because she was too shy to look directly at the camera. She wasn't the loud one in class. She wasn't the girl who volunteered for school plays. She wasn't the type people pointed to and said, "Someday she'll be on TV." But fate has a funny way of finding people who least expect it. She discovered journalism quietly, not through ambition, but through curiosity. She loved stories. She loved listening more than speaking. And she loved the way truth, when spoken clearly, could change how people saw the world. She started at the very bottom. No fancy connections, no powerful relatives, no one to open doors for her. Just discipline, determination, and the unmistakable warmth of Filipino English, a voice shaped by humility, by respect, by sincerity. While others rushed to be noticed, she stayed in the background, taking notes, helping senior reporters, studying scripts until midnight, learning the craft piece by piece without asking for credit. To most people in the newsroom, she was just the quiet intern, easy to overlook, easy to underestimate. But what her colleagues didn't see was that this quiet intern was building something powerful inside her, a calmness, a steadiness, a presence that no amount of noise could shake. They had no idea that one day, this same quiet girl would sit in the anchor chair and change the way millions heard the news. They didn't know it yet, but she was growing into the one voice the newsroom would soon depend on, the voice that would one day dominate the broadcast and silence the people who once mocked her. Then it happened, the moment she had prepared for her entire young career. Her very first live segment, she could hear her heartbeat in her ears as she stepped toward the anchor desk. The studio lights were brighter than she imagined, washing over her face with a warmth that felt both comforting and intimidating. She adjusted the microphone with steady hands, placed her notes gently on the table, and took one quiet, grounding breath. For a second, the entire world seemed to slow down. Then she spoke, her voice calm, her delivery precise, her timing flawless. Every line was delivered with clarity, every sentence anchored with confidence. It was exactly the performance any young journalist would dream of. But behind the camera, not everyone was listening to her words. While she reported the story, a producer leaned into another operator and whispered under his breath, "Her accent is too Filipino." He didn't say it with curiosity. He said it with judgment, as if her very voice didn't belong on American television. That moment was never meant to be public, but someone recorded the feed. Someone shared it, and within hours, the clip exploded. Twitter lit up, Reddit threads multiplied, Facebook comment sections filled like wildfire. People weren't analyzing her reporting. They weren't discussing her accuracy, her professionalism, or her skill. They were mocking her identity. Comment after comment poured in. Who hired her? She sounds funny. Is this CNN or a comedy show? She belongs on TikTok, not TV. Some comments were worse, so cruel that even other viewers were shocked by them. The worst moment came from inside the studio. During a replay of her segment, another anchor, sitting just a few seats away, looked at her face on the monitor and smirked. Not a small smile. A disrespectful one, the kind that says, "You don't belong here." Millions saw it. Millions shared it. Millions laughed. In a single day, she went from the promising new anchor to the center of a nationwide joke. This was supposed to ruin her. It was supposed to break her confidence, shame her into silence, and send her career collapsing before it even began. But instead, that moment, that humiliation, ignited something nobody expected. Because while some were laughing, others were watching closely, others were listening carefully, others were waiting to respond. And what came next would flip the entire story upside down. At 2:14 a.m., when most of America was asleep, a Filipino nurse on a night shift in New Jersey opened her phone during a short break. She had been working a 12-hour shift, Tired, hungry, emotionally drained. The kind of exhaustion only nurses truly understand. Scrolling through her feed, she stumbled on the clip. And unlike the others, she didn't laugh. She froze. Because for the first time on a major American news network, she heard a voice that sounded like home, a voice like her coworkers, a voice like her sisters, a voice like her own. She wiped her eyes, took a deep breath, and typed just one sentence, finally. Someone who sounds like us. She didn't know it, but that single comment was about to ignite something massive. Within minutes, her post started gaining traction. Within hours, it began spreading across Filipino communities. And by sunrise, the clip had traveled far beyond New Jersey. OFWs in the Middle East shared it next. Filipino teachers in Abu Dhabi, household workers in Riyadh, factory workers in Qatar. They wrote, "She speaks like my sister. She sounds like my mother. She reminds me of home." Then it reached Filipino seafarers in cargo ships crossing the Indian Ocean. Men and women thousands of miles from land who felt a surge of pride, hearing a voice so familiar on a platform as huge as CNN. From there, it hit universities. Students in Manila, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo posted it with messages like, "Representation matters. We've been waiting for this. She carries all of us." Then Filipino Americans joined in, second-generation kids who grew up shy about their accent, suddenly celebrating it. Within 48 hours, the clip was everywhere. Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Toronto, Sydney, London, Japan. Filipinos across continents were sharing the same story, the same pride, the same voice. And just like that, the clip transformed. It was no longer a joke, no longer a moment of mockery. It became a movement, a symbol of representation, a reminder that Filipino English is not something to laugh at. It's something to celebrate. People weren't laughing anymore. They were cheering, defending her, protecting her, uplifting her. She didn't even know it yet, but millions were already standing behind her, ready to turn her humiliation into her rise. CNN producers couldn't ignore it anymore. What started as a small ripple was turning into a wave they could feel inside the newsroom walls. Her calm tone, her clarity, her warmth. Viewers loved it in a way they didn't expect. People weren't just watching her. They were connecting with her. So the producers decided to test it. First, they gave her a short follow-up segment. Just a few minutes. Simple story. Nothing groundbreaking. She delivered it beautifully. The comments that night tripled. Then they gave her another chance. A longer report this time. Different topic. Higher stakes. She handled it with precision, ending the broadcast with a natural grace that made even senior anchors take notice. Then came a third, and a fourth. Every time she appeared on air, the reaction was the same. People stopped scrolling. People paused what they were doing. People listened. And then the real shock came. The newsroom analytics. The numbers didn't just rise, they spiked. Suddenly, the data team noticed a pattern. Whenever she spoke, viewership climbed almost instantly. More people tuned in. More people stayed. And more people returned the next day wanting to hear her again. Comments exploded across platforms, not mocking, but praising. Her voice is so comforting. She explains things so clearly. She sounds like someone I can trust. Engagement rose at a rate producers rarely saw, especially for a new anchor. She was no longer the girl with the accent. That label didn't fit anymore. She was becoming something else, something bigger. She was becoming the anchor people waited for, the anchor they requested by name, the anchor they defended online without hesitation. Whether the newsroom liked it or not, her rise had already begun. She began covering bigger stories, not just small headline fillers or quick updates, but the kind of stories that shaped public opinion. Then came international reports. Complex, high-pressure assignments that required confidence, accuracy, and calm under fire. She delivered each one with the same steady tone that viewers were now growing familiar with. After that came breaking news, moments of chaos, moments when the world held its breath, moments when anchors were chosen carefully because one wrong word could change everything. And she rose to the challenge every time. Soon she found herself sitting under the bright lights of primetime broadcasting, the most competitive space in the entire network. And here was the twist. The same anchors who once mocked her accent, who once smirked behind the cameras, who once whispered jokes in the newsroom, were now complimenting her, calling her refreshing, sharp, reliable. They didn't change their hearts. It wasn't sudden respect. It was the audience. The viewers changed everything. Because the audience, or millions of regular people watching from their living rooms, saw something the newsroom missed. They saw authenticity. They saw sincerity. They saw someone who spoke with humility and strength, someone who felt familiar, someone who sounded like home. Comments poured in. She makes the news feel human. Her voice is comforting. I feel safe listening to her. She's the reason I watch CNN now. Please put her on more broadcasts. It became clear. Her Filipino English wasn't a weakness, it was her power. Her accent wasn't something to hide. It was the reason she stood out. It made her unique in a world of voices that all tried to sound the same. It made her memorable in a sea of anchors who blurred together. It made her trusted because sincerity can't be faked. Her voice carried the warmth of home, the calmness of experience, and the grace of someone who never forgot where she came from. And viewers didn't just hear it, they felt it. Months later, the world was plunged into a major crisis. One of those unpredictable, chaotic moments when people everywhere turned on their televisions, needing answers, needing direction, needing a voice they could trust. Inside the CNN newsroom, tensions were high. Producers rushed through hallways. Phones rang nonstop. Writers scrambled to update information by the second. It was the kind of night where only the strongest anchors were chosen to sit in the chair. And out of every seasoned journalist, every familiar face, every anchor with decades of experience, CNN chose her. Not because she was trending, not because she was the new face, not because of diversity numbers or public pressure. They chose her because she had become the one anchor people listened to when things got difficult. She sat down, adjusted the microphone, felt the heat of the lights on her face, and delivered. Flawlessly. Her voice stayed steady even when the newsroom behind her pulsed with chaos. Her tone remained calm while headlines shifted every few minutes. Her clarity guided viewers through the uncertainty. And the world responded. That broadcast shattered expectations, record-breaking viewer numbers, hundreds of thousands of comments flooding in from all corners of the globe. Thank you for explaining this so clearly. Her voice is exactly what we needed tonight. She made everything feel less frightening. This is a real journalist. People who had never heard of her before were sending messages of gratitude. Families watched her together. Nurses streamed her coverage during overnight shifts. Filipinos worldwide felt their hearts swell with pride. It wasn't luck. It wasn't charity. It wasn't a lucky moment in the spotlight. This was earned, every second of it, because the same world that once laughed at her, the same audience that once mocked her accent, was now hanging on to every word she spoke, not because she changed, but because she refused to. She didn't fight with anyone in the newsroom. She didn't clap back online. She didn't try to erase her accent or soften her identity to fit into a mold that was never meant for her. She simply stayed true to who she was, a Filipino, a storyteller, a voice shaped by sincerity, a presence built through resilience. And that is what made her a legend. Not perfection, not fame, but authenticity. She didn't just read the news. She became the voice people trusted when the world felt unstable. She didn't chase applause. Applause found her. She didn't force her rise. She grew into it, and in doing so, she became the anchor no one expected, but everyone needed. So to every Filipino watching this, remember this message. Your voice is not a flaw, your accent is not a mistake, and your identity, the very thing some people try to mock or belittle, is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. Your voice carries your history, your struggles, your sacrifices, your roots. It carries the sound of your parents, your teachers, your hometown, your childhood, all the things that shaped you into who you are today. If they laugh at you now, let them. If they underestimate you, smile. If they say you don't belong, keep going. Because the truth is this, people only laugh when they don't understand your power yet. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, the same people who once mocked your accent, the same ones who rolled their eyes, the same ones who whispered behind your back, might be the very same people sharing your story as inspiration. They may quote you. They may praise you. They may tell others how strong you are, how resilient you became, how far you've come. One day the world will realize that your voice isn't something to change, but something to honor. because your voice is proof that you survived. Proof that you fought through challenges. Proof that no amount of laughter could ever silence you, so keep speaking. Keep growing. Keep showing up. Keep embracing the parts of you that others tried to erase. You are not alone. Millions of Filipinos around the world share the same courage, the same journey, the same strength. And remember, you don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in yourself long enough for the world to catch up. If this story inspired you, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to Global Echo for more powerful stories like this.